good film with a good hero will always, I mean, we all want heroes, in our lives, and we want to see that also. Reading this maybe I feel like watching the film again. So that. I just thought it might be fun to attempt something like this. When I heard the story, it was like my first choice was that
Correct.
direction. This is from Kati Patang, which I saw 9 times, by the way, when I was young.
Hello, Sriram. It's always a great joy to speak with you. And this is a special occasion for two things. Because Merry Christmas, with Merry Christmas, finally, 2024, we have a good release in
you.
Hindi cinema. And you complete 20 years in cinema.
Yeah.
Does it feel like you have covered like 2 decades of filmmaking?
I never thought, somebody pointed out and said, oh yeah, it is 20 years, but I've been there before. So it's not like, 20 years of films, yeah.
But Sriram, I was listening to some of your conversations, pre-promotion conversations, and you everywhere say that you wanted a slow burn, you wanted an intimate film. Why?
See, when I read this story, this story is from the early 60s. And it's a very, in terms of a plot, it's a beautiful read, but the plot is not the vital thing. It's a little hokey, in fact. And but what I loved were the characters in the scope, those characters, the possibilities one could do with that. And so I was very clear that it's going to be a certain kind of movie. It is almost like a love story in the garb of a thriller. It's not a thriller kind of thing. Whereas Andhadhun and all these films, they don't have romance which is really strong. It is there, but it's not strong like this. So I knew that the way it will be, you cannot pace it up, because if I pace it up, in fact, my initial, if you remember, when I was beginning the film, I thought it would be a 90-minute film without interval. That was my plan. But as I started fleshing out the script, and me and my co-writers, both in Hindi and in Tamil, so I was chatting with them separately, and I just felt that there's so much scope to do things there. So now it's almost a 2-hour plus movie, and these guys don't agree. But if it is 90 minutes, I would have definitely pushed for a no interval policy.
I know this is something you have spoken about, but why was it so crucial for you to have a fresh pairing?
Well, if you have seen the movie, I think the pairing beautifully works. And like mentally, I was trying different kind of casting options, So somehow I did speak to a few people and so on. And but all that is, when I had the story, I don't really flesh out the script in full detail till I have my cast in place, So while writing, of course, you keep a certain dream cast in mind. Like for Andhadhun, I thought Tabu would be great, and so I kept her in mind. But she had not heard the story for a long time. Luckily, she liked it. And but in this case, I had this basic sort of one line or flow of the film, and I felt that when I was doing it, I said it has to have something more than it has to have a unique pairing, simply because I want people who are strangers in every sense of the word. They're strangers to each other, even in terms of cinema. If I had taken A and B who have done other films before, it would not have worked so much, I felt.
The fact that you stuck to your choice of having Katrina, why Katrina? Is it because of certain charms she brings, or you wanted to break the kind of image she has in the industry?
See, I think she was more keen on breaking that image. I can't go and tell somebody I want to break her image. So that will be too pompous. But she had that thought that she wanted to do something which is like a little different from what she's mostly known for. So she met me, and I liked her. I told her the story, and she loved the story. And I liked her sort of hunger to do this kind of a character, and her she just enjoyed. She wanted to play this role very badly, and I said, "Great! I mean, that hunger is all you look for in an actor, And then, of course, she's very meticulous. She prepares very nicely, and she also discussed. We had a lot of fun. I mean, working on this film. So I was not thinking of I'll take Katrina because she's a big star. Not like that. It was more like because she suited the character a lot. And Vijay, of course, he came in much later actually, about almost a year later. And that too by chance. I met him, and I had seen a couple of his films earlier. Tamil films, couple of the ones which we all know about, and many more which are like his early films. And I knew he's a superb actor. So I just thought, what of this combination? It's a risky combination, but that's also the USP,
And Vijay has some of the best lines, the punchlines. Those were written, the improvisations, or they were part
lines were largely written. But Vijay is the kind of actor who improvises I mean, he has his own sort of a beautiful set of thoughts. So when I'm doing a scene, when I'm blocking a scene, usually I'll ask him, so what would Albert do in this? I may have something in mind, and he may have something else in mind. So we have a sort of a, I say, okay, this sounds great, and so on. So there are a couple of things he's done, which is fab.
The dance scene between Vijay and Katrina, I think one of the best scenes that stood out for me, and they were so much in sync. And I think that long takes you have used.
Yeah,
maybe
it's
you
largely
cut towards end.
largely a single take. Yeah,
Yes,
largely
yes.
a single take.
Yeah. How was that choreographed? If you can share with us.
See, the whole idea there was that it's a improvised sort of dance. So, I mean, we did have a choreographer, but I told them it should look improvised. It should look like, okay, I mean, the thing is, she is dancing and he, at some point, he's too inhibited. Then he decides to join in and like all sort of has a lot of fun. So we didn't do too many rehearsals and all that. We just saw, I wanted to do a couple of technical rehearsals for the Steadicam because it's a Steadicam, we are moving to after a point it stops and so on. Then we had also taken a few cuts on that, and there was an option of doing it in cuts also, but I felt that will break the sort of spontaneity of the scene. So I said, let it be the single shot.
Another long scene that I noticed, I might have escaped, it might have escaped my notice other scenes, is the police interrogation scene, which also has a little Birdman kind of feel. So, if...
Birdman is terrific, but no, this is it's a 3.5 minute single shot.
Yeah.
Simply because, if you do it in cuts, it becomes like any other interrogation, any other sort of police scene. And I've done so much of CID and those kind of things. So whenever I come to a police scene, I keep wondering what to do. How do I make it different, and how do I not just sort of get away from the typical sort of shot taking?
But that interrogation scene, did you have to rehearse quite a bit before you finally...
No, again, see, I mean, of course, we have rehearsed the lines with the actors. In those kind of scenes, because they are little complicated movement and all that, it needs rehearsal only for the camera choreography and so on. The right time, the right line, they have to be, the camera has to be on them. At the right time, they have to move away. So give the impression that they are still, there's something happening in that room and there's something happening in this room. There is one, there's a French filmmaker I love, Jean-Pierre Melville. So his film Doulos, the Les Doulous. It means the informer with Belmondo. That I remember has one terrific lengthy interrogation scene. So, I mean, those things just break it's better than cutting too, because many of those things are just obvious questions and so on.
Since you mentioned CID, had you not worked on CID and Ahat, do you think your sensibility would have been this? Did this some way contribute to your...
No, I mean, probably CID and Ahat were sort of even offered to me because I had that sort of a mind of, I love thrillers and I love those kind of stories and so on.
And was it a conscious decision not to show the murders? Because nowhere you saw blood or violence. Of course, in one scene, but that doesn't feel like a gory scene to me.
No, I actually wanted to keep gore out of this movie because, it doesn't really help. The one killing which you're talking about, we decided it's happened. So it's there's a line before the girl says the line, and then it's happened already. So we don't really, it's okay for the audience to understand that. I don't need to show the violence just because it's my film and I have to show something. So I didn't want to risk an A certificate kind of a thing for this movie because it doesn't require. It's a very happy story actually.
Yeah, you think it's a happy story? I
felt it's a happy story, and it's sort of emotional rather than happy. It's an emotional story.
And what is the story behind casting Sanjay Kapoor?
Well, the character, I just was looking for, I had a few names. This was the first name that I my assistants had made up possibilities, and I said, this guy will be great if he does it. And so I called him up. I, in fact, didn't narrate the whole film to him. I just narrated, you're in this church and this lady faints and something happens and you bring her home. And so then after we shot a few days with him, then I told him the rest of the story. He said, ab to batao, mera to aadha kaam ho gaya hai. So,
using these old film songs, they come naturally to you because you are such a big film buff, or you have to put some thoughts into it?
No, of course, you think about it. It doesn't come at one point or when writing the script. When we are editing it normally, I'll say, okay, what if this and what if that? Like in Andhadhun, there is one sort of very tense sequence where Akash, there is a character of Aishman, He's like, he's been given some sort of anesthesia, and he's going to be, basically his kidney is going to be taken from him. And before that, since he used to be able to see, he remembers something, he says something. And I thought it would be great if we put that Kumara Baap ka one song, Jai Bholenath. Because he sees the tattoo, he remembers the tattoo of Shivji on the lady's wrist. So, I mean, these things come when you're editing mostly. They don't come in the beginning of the movie. And usually what comes in the beginning of the movie, they find their way out for ABC reasons. Mainly costs. Nowadays, it's so expensive to buy these songs. They'll have to think.
Sriram, why are you shy of going big, big projects, like taking a big scale, big budget, big stars? Is it? I know you are inherently a shy person.
No, I mean, the thing is that my next film, Ikkis, is a big production. You know, it's like, though it's not big stars because I've got almost a new boy. Agastya is playing the role. It'll be his film debut actually. And Dharamji is there, Dharmender, who's somebody I love and wanted to work with again after joining of that. And there's a whole lot of other actors, but it's a big film. It's a big film in terms of scale, the things that happen in it. Regarding big stars, I mean, it's all subject dependent actually. So, all the films I've done, I don't think other stars would have helped it more or whatever. No?
Yeah. But do you, because these days people say that if you have to do something commercial, mainstream, then you have to have big stars. Those have become kind of the basic rules of money-making film and commercial success. So how much do you abide by that, or do you subscribe to that idea?
Each time there is a discussion on these things with the producers. I work with different producers, and these producers would, I mean, for them it becomes assured. They are assured that, okay, it's safe, at least the star value is there and so on. And sometimes I do go and meet big actors, but the thing is, the kind of movies I do, they have to be in the same zone as me. You know, luckily when I was doing Badlapur, Varun Dhawan was in that zone. Maybe after 3 or 4 big successes, he may have said, no, this is too dangerous a movie or risky a movie. But I caught him at the right time. So, and bigger stars, I mean, the thing is, I only worry that they should not, if their earlier films have done like humongous business, my stories may not do that kind of business. So that they cannot look at a film of mine and say, okay, it has to beat their earlier film. You know, the earlier film may be a huge extravaganza, which this is not. So, but there's nothing with that. It's not that I have any problem with big stars. Big stars are good, but even Hitchcock didn't get all the stars he wanted.
Really?
Yeah. There are many occasions where the studio gave him, you got this guy for this movie.
Do you think big stars in India are not willing to take risks?
No, I won't say that. I mean, nowadays they are taking risks and they're taking... I won't say that. They can take a risk. It's just that they look at a whole lot of factors before they agree to a film. And vis-a-vis my films, I've been very lucky with actors. At the same time, the same films, many of them have have been offered to different actors before the person who's doing it has done it.
But with numbers, the opening weekend figures becoming such a big thing, I'm sure a lot of big stars now take calculated risks. So do you think that's true?
No, of course. For them, the numbers is sort of validates their star value, you know. Whereas for me, the numbers and the appreciation, of course, numbers are, nobody hates the numbers. We all want bigger numbers and double-digit figures and all that. But I don't have that pressure on myself. I mean, what I mean to say is, if Andhadhun did X business, I'm not starting my next one thinking, oh, I have to do more than X. That's not my beginning point, you know. If it does, great. But if it doesn't, it's not like, you know, that movie is over and it's on the side now.
Like looking at you, going over your filmography, I was thinking like you, which you have also mentioned in the course of the conversation, that you treat them as characters, not as heroes or protagonists, like, you know, they have to, and a male hero especially. Like Tabu could have been the hero of Andhadhun, and I think Urmila is the hero of Ek Hasina. In some posters, in fact, Urmila's photo is bigger than sets. So how do you look at this growth of heroism in Indian cinema currently?
See, the good film with a good hero will always, I mean, we all want heroes, you know, in our lives, and we want to see that also. Just that my films are peculiarly, I mean, in the sense that if you say, take a film like Badlapur, initially, that was the idea of the design of Badlapur. You take a star, which is Varun Dhawan, who's like, usually plays heroes in most of his movies. And you take Nawaz, who's like a character actor, and then in the end of the film, the hero has become the villain, and the character actor, Nawaz, the other guy, the villain has become the hero. So I love this kind of reversals and all that. And those are the things that attract me. Even while I'm casting it, also it will be great if I can manage that and writing it and so on. So, I mean, but I still, if I see a great film with a good heroic character, I'm all for it. I mean, I love it.
Where do you think the critics stand today? Because a film which might have been panned by many critics goes on to do great numbers. So what place do they have?
See, I have been a journalist for a little time, and I've also sort of reviewed films. So I enjoy reading what people write about my work. And there are some critics who are really fab, and they sort of make you look at your own film with a lot of. There's one I remember for Merry Christmas. Few reviews I was telling my associate Gary, reading this review, I feel like watching the film again. It's like that. So I feel like watching the film again. But so some of them are fab. There are all kinds of, now anybody can be a critic. All you need is a comp or a phone. So yeah, and there are of course the ones that give the story away, ones that give spoilers away, ones that probably have got it wrong, but they have not checked or something like that. But there are many who I think good writers, in the critical area.
With Ikis, of course, you are taking you are attempting a different genre, but
Right.
of course you will do well, I'm sure. But did it require you to do some rewiring or rethinking about how you will approach it? Or
I mean, the idea of Ikis was because I loved the story so much. I knew it was something out of my usual sort of genre kind of thing, but I loved the drama of the story. And I just thought it might be fun to attempt something like this. And much as I love Hitchcock and so on, I also like Vijay and so many other directors who sort of have a range of films. The man who's made Teesre Manzil has also made Guide and Tere Mere Sapne. So, and Joel Teep also, and the Tere Ghar Ke Samne, and so many. I mean, they're all different films.
And also, I was thinking, Indian filmmakers have often been criticized for not doing a biopic well. Is that something you are thinking about?
Let me make my film and watch it and judge it. I am making no claims of other biopics and so on. And my thing is, I don't really see it as a biopic. I see it as a drama of a certain time. And it's not like I'm showing it's not an Amar Chitra Katha version of a person's life.
Casting Dharamji in this, and you are repeating Dharamji after Johnny Gatha. So, is it like of sentimental value for you, or it's like you love it?
No, it's only because he's a very good actor. That's the only reason I cast him. And this is a role he suits him. We've already shot a lot with him, and he's like fantastic in the movie. And so I was when I heard the story, it was like my first choice was Dharamji.
And do you have to direct him much, or he gets it?
No. Luckily we have worked before, and but we discuss a lot, and we go over the scenes, and then of course there's nothing to direct with actors like that. See, Dharamji's face itself is a landscape. He doesn't have to. All I have to tell him is, sir, in this shot, your eyes are telling me everything. That's enough, and because he's got a great voice, and he's a very good actor. And the only thing is, people may not have seen his best work,
Which are his best work, according to you?
Well, so many. Chupke Chupke, Sholay, Bandini, many. I mean, Pratigya, because he's great at comedy, he's great at drama also, and Yadon Ki Barat. I mean, so many films.
What would be a perfect love story for you?
I mean, in a movie, I can tell you.
Yeah.
Movie, I mean, for example, I love Roman Holiday.
Yeah.
But I have a poster of it somewhere. In my house, it is there. Now, what I like in that movie is, you just want them to be together, but you know they can't, and they know they can't, but they still love each other, or at least have shared something very unique and intimate for a few very short time. Then even Merry Christmas has a similar sort of a thing.
Yeah.
So I will not talk too much about that. Yeah, but usually the love stories that sort of really stay with the audiences if it is unrequited, perhaps. Otherwise it's like and everybody's happy. It's also sometimes good. I mean, I love the Bridges of Madison County. So, I like all kinds of love stories. I love the Love Actually very much. When Harry Met Sally, DDLJ. I like.
So, what are the other movie posters? Jiska, you are going to make T-shirts, and we have not seen them yet.
No, must be 3-4 coming. I don't know, but it's not that I plan. There's a list for this. Just that if I come across a beautiful image, or something which is a beautiful image of a poster or something. See, nowadays what happens is I collect posters, but it's too prohibitively expensive. And I don't have a house which is big enough to keep all the posters I have. That's why they're all stacked. So then during the pandemic, I thought, okay, let me do this, and it's good. I mean, I feel like if today I'm wearing Johnny Ram, I almost feel like Johnny. It's like that.
But what are these 2-3 t-shirts that are coming? They have what images?
Well, my next film is a war film, so I am sort of looking at war. I'm watching a lot of war films, and I think Battleship Potemkin is a very early Russian Eisenstein. It's a classic film. So that I've got that. I'll wear it one day.
Okay, we're looking forward to spotting you somewhere wearing that. Any actors that are on your wish list? Because you have worked with some exterior actors and you have used them beautifully. So
there are so many, but it's all, like I said, whenever I've tried to write a script keeping an actor in mind, I've sort of not come up with a good enough script or a story, whatever. Somehow that happens. So I now prefer to write something, and then midway you start sensing, okay, this guy will be great. Like many years back, Sunny Deol had called me and said, this is before I even made my first film. He had seen Sriram Raghavan. That's it's a video docudrama I had done. And he said, do a film with me. I was so happy. Okay, that time he was like in his peak. Now again he is back in the reckoning, which is good. So I kept writing and rejecting the ideas myself, Then at some point he said, what are you trying to do? You're trying to make some Hollywood classic or something? I said, I don't know, but the stories were not I was not getting that. So now, I mean, that's one of my things, to do a film with him. Yeah. There are many other.
Any song that you wanted to use in Merry Christmas but could not do it for whatever reason?
Well, if I wanted a song, I did use it is only because of commercials. I mean, the costs, because, like I had one song in the beginning of the film, which I wanted the song from Aakhri Khat, Ruch Jawan Jawa, Raat Meherban, Chhede Koi Dastan. I mean, I can sing it on the. Yeah, you know the song?
Yeah, long ago.
It's a beautiful song, and what I wanted to do actually was either take the song, or I wanted to record it in a young Usha Uttup's kind of an actress, and that was the restaurant scene, And I wanted Bhupender ji actually in the cafe having a glass of beer or something like that. This was about 4 years back when I was writing the script, But then we didn't do that. The song would have been too expensive. That would have been superb. But what happens is the songs are so expensive that it's easier for us to, and especially on a film which is not like hugely budgeted and all, it's easier for us to make a song. But then you have that thing. I wish I had got that song. Since you asked me, I'm telling you about it.
Yeah.
It's from Aakhri Khat. It's Rajesh Khanna's first film. Rajesh Khanna opens my film also. So I had all these corrections, that wheat card.
Yes. And I wanted to ask, you have dedicated the film to Shakti Samantji. Is there a story there?
No, there's no story except that I have seen almost all his movies. He's made a lot of Bengali films I have not seen, but many of them have been made in Hindi also. But he's a filmmaker. When I was right from the age of 10, I sort of know his, and even today we listen to the songs from his movies and so on. And I sort of love the fact that he's done, he's one of the early people to have done crime thrillers, and he's also done romances and dramas, and he's had a terrific body of work. And most people today don't even know him. Everyone knows when they hear Ye Sham Mastani, but they don't know this is from Kati Patang, which I saw 9 times, by the way, when I was young. All for one shot of when Asha Parekh screams, and it's raining, and this cab driver is trying to she's escaped from the wedding, and now she has found out that her boyfriend is a sort of a thug. Thug Patang is a horrible guy. She's got the jewelry in hand, and the taxi driver sees that. So he takes her in the wrong path. It's raining heavily through some jungle, and he stops and tries to snatch it from her, and she screams. And another forest officer, young Rajesh Khanna, is going. He turns and comes, and then it's followed by Ye Jo Mohabbat Hai, the song. So I mean, those days there was no way of watching it again unless you go to the hall and watch it. But we began our film with Asha Parekh from Kati Patang. Our Merry Christmas starts with.
Yeah.
I love that. So I spoke to Shakti's son, Ashif, and I said, I want to use this, because he was very happy.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. So nice.